Hello, welcome back to another Talking To episode. I'm your host Teddy, and today I'm being joined once again by
Hayden.
And today we're going to talk about the TMNT, the 2003 Season 2, Episode 12, What a Croc. So, what do you think about this episode briefly?
Briefly, this is a very much a different pace of sorts. Like, from the crazy episodes we had a few weeks ago, this is certainly a very much new territory for me going into this. Like, new characters, some old characters, and some new lore and development that I've never heard of before until now. So it was a very interesting episode.
You gotta say that overall, I think this was a pretty decent episode, and I did enjoy how they were expanding upon the history and lore within the show. But I have to say that even though I didn't think that this was the best episode ever, or I didn't love this episode as maybe such as other people did, I did like the visuals of this episode, especially with the sewers. Oh, amazing. Okay, so with the first bit, we do get to see Mikey. He's a bit annoyed by Raph, so he goes in to see April, and she's packing up her stuff to leave. Anything to say about that bit there?
To be honest, not really. It was pretty tame. It was nice to see that April is finally moving out after supposedly the money that she acquired from last week's episode. Whether that was legal. Yeah, no, definitely. How did she get all that money to buy her apartment again? You know, it was a very, very treacherous waters there, so to speak, like whether it was legal or illegal, but who cares?
Either way, moving on.
Plot development, ladies and gentlemen, plot development.
But yeah, I mean, I'd say that with this scene, I thought it was a pretty decent scene, and I was quite surprised if I did actually follow up on stuff from last episode, and it wasn't just a case of just, oh, well, she got the money, and next episode she's already out, and I did enjoy how they are actually showing that this story is actually moving in a nicer way, and even with the stuff with the next scene with the TV stuff with they're talking about the city going to war with itself and all that. I like how all this stuff at the very beginning is setting stuff up for the next following episodes, which I think is absolutely great compared to like shows which get nowadays, which is either setting up movies or stuff which may or may never happen. And I do like how they're actually setting things up that will actually take place over the next few days or episodes. I really do enjoy that and miss that. Yeah, I mean, even with Mikey's attitude, where he gets annoyed by April for joking about his comics ways, and he gets so salty by it and just turns off the lights. I had to say, for this episode had a lot of really good, funny moments, and it was amazing. Speaking
never mess with a man's comics.
Yeah, I mean, even with Raph snoring and what Mikey was saying about Raph, it was actually funny. I mean, I'm quite surprised by that, because it's the early 2000 kind of humour where it's hit or miss kind of thing, but it was surprisingly funny, which I was very surprised at. So next bit we do get to see Leo and Splinter. They're watching TV, and they're going on about the city being at war itself, just like with the last episode, and I think maybe in the episode before that. I know that we talked about this briefly last time, but do you have any new opinions about it, or are you still waiting to see what happens?
To be honest, I'm waiting to see what happens still, because all this news about the gangs and the riots and the whole war, the city at war sort of thing, I'm still a bit perplexed on what's actually going on, because we haven't seen topside of the city in ages, and who knows what's happened. The military could be patrolling the streets, the gangs could be up in arms, the TCRI whatnot have returned. I really don't know. There could be so many things going on there, and of course, who knows? Maybe Shredder's back up. It's really confusing. So I can't really put together what's going on with that situation. So I'm going to have to wait until a bit more information comes to light with that.
We don't have to wait too long. It's only film episodes, and then it's all will be revealed, and you'll have a lot to talk about then. But yeah, I mean, I must say that with this bit and also the stuff with April, I do enjoy how they are setting things up for like, future episodes, which is really great and really nice to see that they're actually doing stuff like this, which is just so nice. And then we do get to see Mikey, he's talking to Donnie, and Donnie gets him to go down to the underwater bit to put in a pipe. Okay, I quickly want to start this off before we do give our opinions. How is Mikey able to use a blowtorch in underwater?
Well, to be honest, this wasn't out of the ordinary. In oil rigs, in deep sea oil rigs, they do underwater welding. So they have welders designed to work underwater. So it's not really too far from reality with Mikey using a welder underwater.
Yeah, but at the same time, I mean, it's Mikey. I don't really think, and even Donnie, I don't think he has sort of technology to be doing that kind of stuff. I know it just doesn't seem right that it's happening. It just seems very. It's happening because they didn't really think too much of it. It doesn't feel like a thing that should be happening. That's all I'm going to say about it.
Yeah, no, it is a bit confusing for like people like, oh, there's fire underwater, how does that work? But there are actual blowtorches that can work underwater due to their very like specific compounds that they use, and they can actually weld pipes together and infrastructure all under the ocean, which isn't too far from reality. So, and besides, I think Donnie has the capacity to create this technology. Like, I think it's a very simple tech for Donnie. Like, Donnie's created an old diving suit. Like, he's created a hover car. He's created so many other stuff that kind of just blows everything out of proportion. This, I would consider very basic of Donnie. Like, Donnie's just created the basic diving suit, a basic underwater welder, and a basic pulley system. Like, this is very basic for Donnie, so there's nothing really much out of the ordinary that I first saw, but it could be different for you.
Yeah, no, it just doesn't seem like it should be working because it's fire underneath water. But, okay, either way, because I'm never going to get sidetracked with all this, what do you think about... okay, well, let's first start off with Leatherhead, because he's in the scene. What do you think of this version of Leatherhead compared to, like, the 2012 one? Because I know that you really enjoyed that version of Leatherhead, and I've seen like this new one with a new like backstory and just everything about him is completely changed. What's your opinions on that, and what do you think of Leatherhead?
To be honest, seeing this Leatherhead, I was kind of taken aback from it all, because at first I was thinking, oh my gosh, it's Leatherhead, he's back. Like, I haven't seen him in ages, but who's his voice actor? And to be honest, as the episode progresses, and I'm going to explain a bit more about myself and Leatherhead, I think I'm just saying this now, I'm going to explain why, but I prefer this Leatherhead. Like, sure, 2012 Leatherhead, don't get me wrong, he was a great character, but this Leatherhead, I don't know, there's something about him. There's his voice and his, like, character overall is very much different, and it still sticks with like the futuristic side of things, and of course it's very different. You still got Leatherhead being the brute force character that he is, and he's uncontrollable in his anger, but this one is a bit more tame, and he has his uncontrollable rage, but he's a bit more tame, and he's a bit more calm, and he has intellect. And I don't know why, I'm slowly drifting towards this character more than 2012. And I know that's a lot, because Leatherhead from 2012 was one of my favourite characters. So it's quite a big jump, but I'll explain more as we get in.
You have to say that like this version is like my version of Leatherhead, and I mean I have to say that, like with every version of Turtles, each character is designed for that specific version of Turtles. Whether you like it or hate it, they are designed for that version, and they do suit that version like very well. But I do think that with like some cases where like some characters were created for like one like, specific version, then they do work best within that version. But because Leatherhead was created before all this, even before all the shows and created in the comics, and they did use a lot, and they were using inspiration from the comics. I do feel like what helped this version of Head stand out a lot more was that he was more presented as how he was supposed to be, whereas the 2012 one, he was trying to be like Leatherhead, but at the same time want to reinvent him. And they did do a really good job at it and try and make him like a very interesting character. But I think that when you change up too much, it loses a lot of what made the character so special. And I do think you'll definitely see this a lot when you do watch later into the 2012 show with when they do bring in 2003 characters into the show. You'll be like, huh, that's not like that character. But I think that in a case like this, it's like really interesting to see like how these like characters are, because they are more or less were created for the comics and were translated like 1-to-1 more or less over to the show, which was just really great and amazing. And like okay, so with this bit, I will spoil something. Leatherhead doesn't die; he does come back later. So
okay, that's good.
It's not a very big spoiler because I mean you've seen trailer, so.
Yeah, to be honest, I was thinking, like, they can't kill Leatherhead in the first episode of seeing him. Like, surely he's going to return.
Yeah, no, he does return, and it's amazing, it's beautiful with what they do with his character, and it's so fascinating with how they present this version of Leatherhead. And when you do watch his next couple of appearances, you will see just how amazing great the 2003 team were at writing characters. And I say that because when they do bring him back, his anger problems are a lot more like on show and a lot more interesting with how they do present them, and with how they tackle his angry side or his like anger and all that is far more interesting in compared to like 2012 one, which was he was tortured by the Krang and all that, and now goes on a rage, but it's not really. They don't really expand upon that like too much, whereas the 2003 one, they do like go really into his anger problems, and with what they did in one episode is what they couldn't do in like the entire show 2012, and I think that goes to show just how great like 2003 were writing really good characters, and Leatherhead is just a really great like example of how like you can write really great and mature characters despite it being a kids show, and it's just so amazing. And another thing which I feel like we might like this version of Leatherhead a little bit more is because the actor who was playing him had to speak smartly and did have to use and did have to bring in like someone else in to help him pronounce the words. But he was speaking with like a British kind of way, because he said that the British people speak more like more smarter and all that. So that's actually really cool. And also, he has a stutter as well, so I'm finally being represented.
Oh, he's like you then.
Yeah.
Got some representation in there.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. Yeah, but I mean, I'd say that overall, this is one of the best versions of Leatherhead, if not the. I'd say it's like the Leatherhead, just like it's like with like Baxter Stockman. It's like the Baxter Stockman. Like so many great things about the character presented, all in that one version that can never be topped. But yeah, okay. If we're getting back to the actual scene itself. What do you think about the first initial scene with Leatherhead versus Mikey in the sewers?
That was really cool. It was cool to see the underwater surroundings, and I really liked how they caught the environment of them being underwater. Like, I don't know what it was, the light blues, the lighting of Mikey's helmet. I thought that was really cool because you don't really get to see much of like different environments in the sewers, and just to see it underwater, that was just really cool, and that caught my eye straight away. And of course, seeing Leatherhead for the first time in this environment was really cool, because you'd expect him like, oh wow, like it's just another crocodile, it's New York City, it's a big deal. But then of course he turns around and he looks Mikey dead in the eyes. I'm like, wow, that's Leatherhead. Like you can tell straight away that's Leatherhead. And of course, seeing Leatherhead and Mikey fight it out, well, I say fight it out in the sewer, was pretty cool as well. Like Mikey trying to hide in the scaffolding while Leatherhead's literally looking him dead in the eyes. And it was just really cool to see how this character was like so violent. And of course, we're getting the aspects of the 2012 version, which I really love. Like his violent character, just he was violent, he's savage, and he's uncontrollable. And he doesn't know from right from wrong. And that's where we see it then. Of course, then Mikey Mikey's air gets cut, and of course, then he has to try and survive for a few seconds before Donnie brings him back up again. But it was really cool to see him for the very first time. Like, wow, this is such a mysterious character. Like, why is there a mutated crocodile in the sewers? Could he be a civilian, a doctor perhaps, who mutated from a TCRA experiment, or the mutagen getting lost in the city? Like, all these different things that come up, and then we see him in a different light in the further on, which I am going to get into, but I want to hear your opinion first on this.
Yeah, I'll just say that with this scene here, just like you were saying with the background, it was so amazing, and something which I honestly have forgotten, like, how amazing, like, the backgrounds were in the show. Definitely, like, one of the highlights from this episode. I'd say that, like, every scene with the, the sewers was an absolute delight to see, just because I'd say that, because, and we have talked about this before with the 2012 episodes, where they were very limited by the budget of the show with the backgrounds which was able to do, and as a result that was only able to have like 3 sewer areas, and they tried to pass off as like being like multiple different areas, but it clearly wasn't. But I'd say that, like, with this bit here, like, and also throughout the whole episode, going to different locations in the sewer, it was just so amazing, just because it was just so nice to see a variety of different locations. And just like with what you're saying with all the blues, that was also a nice change compared to just being the normal kind of stuff, which was just a nice change of pace. And with all the background little details, I can't tell if it's like the art style of the show, or if it's how much detail they're putting into the background. The something about it just works really well. And with the scene, I thought it was a decent scene for showing off Leatherhead as being like a bad guy, and showing him as a pretty strong character doing all that kind of damage. And one of the more interesting things, which I'm pretty sure is the case in this episode and with Leatherhead as a whole, is that they used the same like sound effects as they did for the monsters for the underground, like Quarry and Stonebiter, or the growls. I'm pretty sure they used the same noises, because in the game they used the same files for that. So I'm pretty sure they used it for here as well, which I think it's kind of lazy, but at the same time kind of cool. So yeah. So after that, we do get to see Mikey. He comes up and tells everyone, but they all think he's crazy. But then Mikey goes off to go and prove it with his little scuba diver gear. What do you think about that little bit there?
To be honest, that was pretty funny. Just seeing him lose his mind, trying to explain what's going on to everyone else, and of course, everyone thinks Mikey's just being Mikey. He's crazy. That's Mikey's whole persona and just how he acts. And of course, when Donnie breaks out the scuba gear, I really do like how they've managed to like put all this like storytelling elements into this single gear. Like, this is the thing I like about the Turtles universe. Someone has sat down and explained it in detail, and then someone's drawn it from their writing. Like, someone has taken the time, it's like, okay, that's a scuba gear, we're going to draw that out, and then there's a camera in the eye, and then depth and all that. Someone's taken the time to develop these tools, these story development tools, and it's really well thought out. And that's what I really like about it, because these tools have different gears, the tech that they're always making. That's the thing. These are always progressing forward. And of course, the Turtles aren't like invincible. They've got to have some tools to help them out. And of course, they're not amphibious. Well, they are amphibians, but they can't hold their breath for a really long time. So it just shows that at the end of the day, they still need tools to help them out. And I just love how they do that. But seeing him go down in the sewers and exploring around the places and all that, I thought that was really cool. And like I said, I'm going back to the environments and the nice shade of blue. Like, it's not the drastic brown and maroon colours like London clay sort of thing. It's a nice tint of blue, it's easy on the eyes, and it's interesting because it's underwater. It's a whole different world. Everything's a different world underwater.
Yeah, I'll just say that for this bit here, I thought it was a pretty decent scene where got to see different interactions between the turtles and just everyone thinking that Mikey's insane before that's still a pretty cool callback to the episode Tales of Leo, where they reference the flashback with Raph and Leo where they saw the alligator. I thought that's so with that bit, I thought that's like a really nice touch, just because that episode was more or less a throwaway kind of episode, but I do like how they are bringing it back around and be like, you remember that? Well, maybe it could be at Leatherhead. And I think that was a theory which did go around for a little bit, but I don't know why, because this episode really explains, everything about Leatherhead and all that kind of stuff in this episode. So, yes. So, yeah, this seems a bit weird, but I'd say that for this bit here, it was like pretty nice, and with the whole Scooby stuff, it seemed a little bit, I don't know, because on the one hand, I do like it because it just really feels like a turtle kind of thing that they would use and probably sell a few toys out of this. And I'd say that with the gold bit, with the radio stuff, that makes sense. But the stuff with the auctioneer and all that seems a little bit stupid, just because throughout this whole show, they have and we do get to see the turtles swimming underwater for long periods of time without them not going up for air. Just because, and they've also, like, one example in the Garbage Man episode where swam from like the sea to like the Garbage Island, and they're swimming underwater. So why does Mikey need an oxygen tank now?
To be honest, now that you say it, why do they need an oxygen tank? Like, sure, they're turtles, but why do they need oxygen tanks? Like, surely they can hold their breath for long periods of time. Oh, and speaking of holding their breath for a really long time, what about the episode where they were in space? They were on the Triceraton warship, and the whole collapses and it opens up into space. There's no air in space, and they managed to hold their breath for all that time while they're jumping through space to the Triceraton homeworld. And then, of course, they've managed to control their breathing for long enough for them to survive and get rebreathers on. How does that work? Like, what's going on?
I don't know. I feel like we should probably move on because we're going to talk about this for a little bit too long.
Yep.
Okay, so next bit. Leatherhead is been building on a transmat inside the Oto's lair, and also been building a exoskeleton, which we'll be talking about in just a second with who's inside that. But anything to say about that bit there with him being inside Oto's lair?
To be honest, at first I didn't pick up on that because it was just like, oh, it's the sewer, there's nothing interesting. But when Mikey said their old lair, I was thinking, oh my gosh, that's so cool. Like, someone has found their lair and made it into their lair, and of course it's still, some parts are still there, of course, just very badly damaged. But it was really cool to go back on the past, like go back and see what's actually happened, what survived and what hasn't, And it was just really interesting to see.
Yeah, let's say that it was like quite nice to see them return to this location, because I know that if this was like the 2012 one, they probably would have forgotten about it, or just I'd say like gone back to like the lair within like the next few episodes and just rebuilt the whole thing. So it's like really nice to see them, like they are going back to this location, doing and like not actually forgetting about it. I do like that kind of stuff, and I do think that it's just so nice we start making like so many callbacks to previous episodes, which is just like really nice compared to like 2012, which they don't really make too many callbacks, and it's just like it's there sort of, but it's just really nice. But then we do have the Mikey versus Leatherhead fight, and I like to start this scene bit off. How is Leatherhead able to jump out of the like ankle length water and able to hide underneath it?
Yeah, I got no answer for that, really, mate. I just thought, okay, there must be like a shelf that Mikey's standing on, and then below that's like a huge drop off, potentially, maybe something like that. But now that you're mentioning it, it kind of makes sense in a way. But I was thinking, oh, there must be like a shelf that he's standing on, and then next to it is like a huge underwater cavern bit sort of thing that's deep enough for him to jump in, you know, maybe something along those lines.
Well, I don't think so. Just because Amadou, like, because after the turtles arrive, like they even jump down into the ankle like deep water, and then somehow miraculously turn up into a different part of the sewers somehow. It's
teleportation.
Yeah, okay, okay. Well, either way, getting back to the actual scene, what do you think about the fight itself?
The fight itself, I thought that was pretty interesting. We get to see Leatherhead in action. We get to see his fighting techniques and how his uncontrollable rage is, and how dangerous he can be if he's not controlled. And of course, we then get to see bits of his humanity shine through, like when he stops and realizes, what have I done? It's like, hold on a minute, this guy wasn't trying to hurt me, he was just trying to figure out who I was and why I was down here. That's that sort of thing, and he was trying to piece it all together before then the turtles then attacked him, and of course his primal instincts kick in, and he then goes full on Leatherhead mode. Like, he goes back to his wild, primitive nature of being a crocodile, smashing the turtles against the walls, and just properly kicking the shells left and right. And it's cool to see. And of course, it's very cool to see that Leatherhead is so powerful. And he kind of reminds me of somewhat of a Triceratops. Like, he's very tall, he's very powerful, but he's a crocodile instead of like a Triceratops. But he's just a very powerful character, but left unchecked can cause some really bad damage.
Yeah, let's see that with the fight. I thought it was like really like fun to see just how like brutal. I wouldn't say brutal, but like dangerous. I want to see like because like compared to like someone like Shredder, where like it's dangerous but not like, oh my god, this is a like big monster beast kind of thing, and I can't defeat it with skills. It was just really nice to see like a big brute fighting and like biting at the oxygen tank and throwing him using his tail. Like a lot of like really fun, like very deadly and very powerful like moves he was using. And I think that this was like, I'd say like what made Leatherhead like a really interesting like foe compared to like other characters. And something which I wish they did like more of like Hun, because like Hun has like he's very tall, has like he's very strong, but yeah, they don't really use him to like his full advantage. Where I feel like they could do a lot more stuff like Leatherhead, where he's able to be a big brute and monster and just able to punch it into like walls and stuff like that, but they just don't. But either way, this bit was like really nice to just see like a very just like really monsterish kind of fight, which is just really like unexpected and just nice, because I don't get to see it too often, but it's just really nice and brutal. But we do get to see the other turtles, they show up and they do have a fight. What do you think about that fight there?
To be honest, that fight scene, that was pretty cool to see as well. And I think I've already talked about it briefly in my previous statement, but I really did enjoy how the turtles, like all three of them, are just pummeled on top of him, like trying to like take him down. But because he's so big and powerful, it takes three of them to do it. It's just really funny.
You have to see that with this fight, just like with the last scene, I did really enjoy how Leatherhead was still a big brute monster. Like, really fun to see that kind of side. But also have to see that with this fight and also with the next fight, I did enjoy how the turtles were using different moves compared to how like we normally like use their like ninja fighting skills or like normal people or like monsters or anything like that. And I know that like this is like a different kind of villain, but it's really nice to see like the turtles like able to use like a different variety of ninja skills, because like Don like with his bows, I really enjoyed like Don this episode with his fighting. But I'd say that it's just so amazing. But yeah, I'd say that like the fighting in this scene, also the next one, was just like really fascinating to see the turtles use their different like skills compared to like other episodes. But yeah, so after that, Leatherhead reveals his origins, and it turns out that he was a normal alligator or crocodile, and he lived with the Utrons, and he got mutated, and was even part of the Secret Origins Part 3, which I think that if you watch back now, be like, oh my god, it's him. So, yeah, what about like that bit there?
To be honest, it was Leatherhead's backstory is very sad. Like, he was just a pet crocodile, and then he was flushed down the loo by some human. Who would ever do that? Like, who would ever flush a crocodile down a toilet? Like, why? Why would you do that? But anyways, seeing him being raised by the Utron, it really did put things into perspective, because, like you said before, the previous episodes in which the TCRI building was invaded by Shredder and the army, we got to see a brief glimpse of a silhouette of this giant tall figure with a tail, and I'm thinking, oh, that's Leatherhead. That's why he was there at TCRI, because he was raised and brought up by the Utron. And of course, unfortunately, he was left behind in the evacuation, and he was left to fend for himself, and that's why he's here now. So it's all coming together, and now piecing it all together, it's like, that's why, that's what it was, that's why he was in the shadows, and so on and so on. And it's really cool to just like kind of piece it all together.
Yeah, to see that with Leatherhead's backstory, there's not really too much I can really say, really. But I'd say that I do enjoy like this kind of side of things of like science fiction and like those kind of origin stories, which I'd like to see a lot more of those kind of origin stories. Sadly, we don't really get to see too many of them. And then, like, even with the stuff with like the Leatherhead stuff, I do like how they'll send things up back in like the last few episodes, and now it's come through to fruition and all that kind of stuff. It's just so great and amazing how they're able to like set things up in just like a few episodes before, and how to like properly flesh it out. It's just so great and amazing how to do this kind of stuff, and yeah, it's just amazing. But then that's when we do get the shocking reveal that the Utron exoskeleton had Baxter Stockman's head inside of it. Yeah, any comments on that?
To be honest, I really did think it was an Utron. I'm thinking, maybe an Utron didn't get out in the evacuation, and maybe Leatherhead's trying to help it get back on its feet, and trying to figure out a way. But then, of course, seeing Baxter Stockman, I'm thinking to myself, how the hell are you still alive? Like, how are you still alive, huh? Like, seriously, after all that, after everything that's happened, you're still alive. How?
Well, I mean, it's Baxter Stockman. I mean, in the second to last season, where like Tales in the future, he is somehow still alive as just a brain and an eyeball. So
that's messed up, but still, yeah. How?
Look at Shredder. How is he still able to live?
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, so after that, we do get to see the Tales. They do fight a robot which covers all their moves in seconds and able to fight them. What about that bit there?
Was that the scene in which
the Tales will find the robot that was able to copy the weapons and the moves?
Oh, that one. Sorry, I thought you was talking about the exoskeleton robot. Sorry, going too far ahead. Yeah, no, that was really cool. I really liked that. I really liked how some sort of like transformer, so to speak, comes to life, and it kind of did remind me of like, I don't know, like the really old Transformer TV series. I'm not too sure if you watched them or not, but I thought of that as like, oh my gosh, it's like the proper Transformer movies. Like they're all transforming into their robots, and and all into that. Or it did kind of remind me of a bit of Power Rangers, when the Power Rangers would make their mechs and that sort of thing, Yeah. I was like, oh my gosh, is this like a Power Ranger? Is this like a Transformer? What the hell have they built here? And so it was really cool to see that robot come to life. And then, of course, the ability to scan the turtles and to scan from just them standing there, really, and to figure out all their fighting moves just like that. That was pretty interesting because it shows like, wow, the technology for the Ultron is so advanced they can just scan a person and then they know exactly what that person's going to do at any given point. To be honest, it kind of reminded me of the Sentinels of X-Men. Remember the Sentinels from X-Men? How they scan and adapt to a mutant's superpower?
It was giving me more vibes of like Taskmaster from Marvel, where the character's able to just like watch any video and is able to like just like do their moves. I think that's what reminds me a lot more than I forgot what thing you just said, but yeah, no, I'd say that it
Sentinels.
Yeah, no, I'd say that it reminds me a lot more of Taskmaster from Marvel, because the character's able to make the moves just from watching them.
Oh, okay, then I can see where you've got that comparison from. Yeah, no, I thought it was really cool. I just really enjoyed how that's like, wow. Even though it was only a brief fight scene, like it was very brief, the Turtles managed to figure out very quickly. I still thought it was pretty cool.
I'd just say that with the like robot, I'd say that I'm not the biggest fan of its design. I think it could have been better, I feel like. But even with the actual fight scene itself, it's annoying because like there's some parts which I do really enjoy, but also at the same time I just think it's the robot itself and just what it's trying to be is something which I just don't really like all too much, because I think because I'd say for like just like one, it's just like the robot's more powerful than the Shredder. It can take on any, it can mimic any form and how to defeat them within just seconds, and just like, why didn't you create that in the beginning? There's like a lot of stuff like that, and also it feels like a very overplayed kind of thing where like, and bringing a robot that's able to like make everything now tell us how to like do something unexpected and wild and not be themselves and that kind of stuff. And it reminds me a lot of the episode Full of Leader from 2012 show where we tells where and got introduced to the foot robots, and in episode tells just trying to be different and to prove that our differences are what makes us good as a team, and we can fight differently and all that kind of stuff. But it's just annoying because I did enjoy the fight because it was again like really like fun to see Toes use different weapons and using different fighting techniques. But it's just the robot itself and just how overplayed that kind of gimmick is being used, which is just really disappointing compared to, because I think that I don't know, because I say for like with like most stuff nowadays with like Marvel, DC, or any comic book kind of thing or superhero thing, they have something like this, and it doesn't really feel like a oh my god moment, because especially like in this episode where I was defeated within like a minute or two of fighting it, it's just so like what are they really trying to go for here? I was trying to make him the most powerful villain in the universe, or is it just something that's sort of there? But yeah, but with the Turtles like swapping weapons, that was something which I'll say that I do quite enjoy quite a bit, just because like with the 2012 show they and they do it for one episode where and use it as like a learning lesson for them trying to learn different like always using their surroundings and just trying to be different, and then they do that in one episode, and then by the next episode they completely forgot about all of it. But like how in this fight scene here, well, they don't actually use it as like a learning lesson or anything like that. I do like how they are aware of that, like they can fight in different forms and use different like weapons, and they have been practicing before with the other weapons, but they can adapt very quickly, which I do quite enjoy. And like how it's not really just like, oh well, we've been practicing for this whole episode, and now next episode we'll never mention it ever again. I mean, granted, they don't actually use different weapons ever again in the show, so but at the same time, it just felt more natural doing it this way compared to the 2012 one where they didn't know how to use them. So yeah, after that, Baxter reveals that he worked for Shredder, and Leatherhead gets annoyed by that. Anything to say about that bit there?
To be honest, when Baxter Stockman slips up, and of course it's Baxter Stockman, so he's always going to slip up, I thought, okay, now that he's revealed himself to be this enemy sort of person, what's Leatherhead's reaction going to be? And of course, as I predicted, Leatherhead loses his absolute mind and just goes on an absolute rampage, and his rage kind of destroys the lab. And I thought it was pretty funny how Baxter Stockman was like defeating the turtles, and then Leatherhead comes in out of nowhere and says, "I'm sorry, say that again. You worked for the Shredder, my mortal enemy, my family's mortal enemy. I'm not gonna let this slide." And then just loses his mind, and then of course destroys the lab, and of course destroys his Trazmat, and technically buries himself.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that, like, with that bit there, I thought it was nice to see that Leatherhead, like, actually using his rage for once and doing all that kind of stuff. But what do you actually think of the actual bit where Leatherhead was sort of, I don't want to say fully committed, you know, but it was more or less along the lines of, because, oh, well, you know, if I can't have my family, then there's no point living and all that kind of stuff.
That got dark real quick. I'm just saying that now. Like, holy crap, man! You don't have to go through with this. Like, you can live with the turtles. Like, it's fine. Just crash with Mikey. You don't have to like just be all doom and gloom. Like, sure, I know that your family has left you, but it's just a bit depressing, you know. Like, wow, okay, went 1 to 11 real quick with that.
Yeah, it just feels like it's an interesting scene of what they're doing in this scene, and I understand where Leatherhead is coming. Wait, I need to rephrase it.
Whoa.
I understand Leatherhead's thought process behind all of it and his feelings. I don't agree with his actions, but
yep.
Yeah, no, I'd say it's so like. It's great to see them like tackling these kind of issues, and they do delve into this a lot more in his next lot of appearances, which is just one of the best parts about this version of Turtles. And I do like how they do keep it in line with his character and stuff along those kind of lines, but I feel like it was definitely a exaggerated like actions compared to what he could have been doing. Which, you know, because I mean, he had the option to go back and rebuild the transporter, which took the like Ultrons like nearly 11 centuries, and it took him a month or two to build it. So I doubt it would have taken him that long to rebuild it all, and not to mention he would have had the help from the turtles. There was a lot of stuff which they could have done differently, but because it was at the end of the episode. I understand why they want to quickly wrap things up, but it felt a bit too rushed. I think that's the best way to describe it.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like, surely they could have planned it out a bit better. Like, sure, you say he's going to come back, but for, like, audiences watching this for the first time, it's like, oh, great, he's gone. Like, why is he gone? Why have they just gotten rid of it so quickly? Why have they just wrapped this story up? You know? Yeah,
and then also I have to say that it does like I'd say like it lessens the impact of his character and just makes him just a throwaway kind of character, despite him being a like very popular character in the Turtle franchise, and he just and just likes to play I'd say a pretty decent role in future story arcs, which is like really nice. But with this being his first appearance, where it's just like, oh, it's here, oh well, I can't be with my family. I've got to go and be somewhere else. So it seems so weird, but at the same time, it feels on brand with this version of Turtles because if you look back like, I don't know, like Angel and Garbage Man and like a few other characters which were like characters which like people really enjoyed, but they only showed up once. It feels on brand for this kind of thing, but they could have handled it in a better way.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like, it still sticks with, like, this dark version of the Turtles. Well, I say dark, like a darker version of it, but it's just like, mate, you don't have to, like, sure, I know he's distraught. Like, his family has gone. He's all alone. He doesn't think no one's there to help him out or give him somewhere to stay or to go to in this time of need. But there is You could have thought about it because it's just stupid how he thinks. Like his emotions have gotten in the way of his intellect. Like you said, he built the transmat in less than a month. He can do that again in the Turtles layer or somewhere else. He has the technology, he has the knowledge. He can build it again. Why does he need to sacrifice himself in order to oh, I want to be with my family, I need to save this transmat, and if I sacrifice myself, I sacrifice myself. Like, what's the thought process going on there? Like, his intellect is not working, basically. Like, his emotions have taken over, he's not thinking straight, and he allows himself to be trapped, you know?
Yeah, I mean, the only, good redeeming part about this, self-sacrifice bit is what leads to, arguably one of the better story arcs in the show, and is how they develop his character in a much more interesting way. That's the only good thing that comes out of this ending. But I still hate it because I thought there were so many other options, but I think had this episode been longer or just anything else, it would have been absolutely better. But but yeah, so yeah, okay, yeah, so yeah, okay, oh god, yeah, damn it. What do you think about this episode overall?
Before we get into that real quick, I just wanted to say about what the Turtles' reaction was when Leatherhead got trapped underneath the rubble. Like, what the hell? Like, literally, immediately, Leatherhead has just been crushed and potentially died underneath all that rubble, and the Turtles are just playing it off like nothing ever happened.
Well, they didn't
What's that all about?
Well, they didn't realise, oh man, I can't believe you had to be that lonely. At least we got us. I mean, at least I can't have played off in that kind of way.
Yeah, but then of course they go about the day. They're not trying to rescue him. They're not trying to save him. There's no scene in which there's no remorse. As long as we got each other, we'll be fine. And they just leave. They don't even go to look or help out. They're just there. And then of course they walk away and they joke like nothing ever happened. I'm like, Jesus Christ, this guy just got crushed under New York City, and you're just having a laugh and a giggle about it. What are you going to do? Are you going to save him? Are you going to try and rebuild the transmat? I just don't get it.
Come to think of it, Donnie had more of an emotional reaction to when Kirby got trapped in his own dimension and didn't die, compared to this bit where told super soon that he did die.
Exactly. This is what I'm saying. What happened? What the hell? Have they become so numb to this violent and death and destruction? They're like, oh, it's just another Tuesday for them. Is that how bad it's gotten for the Turtles? They've gotten so used to all this, they're just shrugging it off.
Well, I guess, yeah, I mean, well, sort of, yeah, just because, I mean, they did kill Shaw a few times, and then Don didn't help Kirby to get out, so I think at this point, they're sort of sad that, they weren't the ones to do it. At this point.
Yeah, but you understand where I'm coming from, right?
Oh yeah, no, it's absolutely stupid, but it's Turtles.
It's Turtles. Yeah, that's the only excuse I can give. It's Turtles, but still, what happens if someone close to you, or someone that you knew, or maybe a person's oh, he's been trapped underneath there, we gotta go help him. And then some person says, oh, he'll be, as long as we got each other, and let's go home and crack a joke, and that's it. I would be distraught. I'd have some sort of, horror, the PTSD sort of thing. Wow, this just happened. What do I do? I'll be there standing in shock, or maybe trying to help the person, or...
It was the friends we made along the way.
I just wouldn't stand there and just crack a joke, would I?
Well, no, but should we move on? Because I've got a fit in, but it's going to be something we just talk about for hours.
Yeah, no, definitely. Let's move on.
Yeah.
Because I'm starting to lose it.
So getting back to it, what do you think about this episode overall?
Overall, I thought this was a really cool episode. I really like this one because we get to see a new character and Leatherhead, and I like how they've developed the underwater scenes, and I really just like this character overall, Leatherhead, this new character. I think I know it's only the first time that I've seen him, but I kind of prefer this Leatherhead over the previous one. Sure, Leatherhead's a brutal character, and he can be dangerous, but with Mikey, with Mikey's friendship and companionship, he's calm, he's tame, and of course, I'd like to see that as the season goes on. But I just really love how they brought Leatherhead into this world. Like, they brought him as this somewhat intellectual but dangerous predator of the sewers. Like, you don't want to be on the wrong end of Leatherhead. You know, you don't want to annoy him. You don't want to tick him off. You know.
Oh, okay. So, something which I think you might find to be quite interesting in this version, Leatherhead is I'd say more like a best friend kind of thing with like Donatello, which I'd say is like more interesting than him being friends with Mikey. I'd say.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, I'd say that overall, this episode, I don't love this episode, but I do really enjoy this episode, and I think there's a lot of like really great like elements of this episode which I absolutely love. I say like the visuals for like in terms of like the Toads fighting, the backgrounds of all the sewers. I think that's absolutely great and amazing. Just so much about this which I absolutely love to see, and I do enjoy watching all this kind of stuff with all different backgrounds, especially the sewers. I think this is the best like sewers in the Turtles ever, and I'd say that overall the backgrounds just amazing. Even the fightings were a lot more different, a lot more unique compared to other fight scenes in the show and other versions, which was really nice to see. And then even with this version of Leatherhead, well, I don't think it's the best interpretation of this version of the character compared to how we do get to see him later. I think that this is a very good introduction to this version of the character, and I would say that this character has a lot more going for him compared to 2012. But I mean, I'd say that 2012 has a unique kind of like aura about him that, you know, makes him, you just like him, but you can't really pinpoint exclusively like what it is about him. But I say that like this one, you can at least pinpoint like some like really good aspects of his character, such like him being like intelligent, his brute nature with him fighting. There's all stuff like that which you can really enjoy and pinpoint and be like, oh yes, I like that because of this. Whereas 2012 one is sort of like, I like him. Yeah. So okay, yeah. Okay, so for the trivia for this episode, okay, so this title of the episode is a play on the word in what sounds exactly like a vernacular phrase, what a croc, which can be spoken to imply that something is false or nonsense. This episode is inspired by Leatherhead's second appearance in the comics, and so in the comics for this story, it was actually the Foot Clan that was helping Leatherhead, and they destroyed the transmat device, which made Leatherhead hate the Turtles. So this is Leatherhead's first full appearance, and his first appearance was in Secret Origins Part 3 in the Shadows. Baxterman gets a new body in this episode. His head attached to a neutron exoskeleton. That's not really trivia, that's just straight up facts.
That's just facts. Like, we know that. Like, oh, jeez.
Yeah, okay, then for the last bit, Mucky imitates Steve Irwin before he goes diving for Leatherhead.
I knew it.
And then also,
I knew there was a Steve Irwin reference in there somewhere.
Yeah, I'll say that it's a very great Australian accent.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah.
then,
Crikey.
and then also during this, he also calls himself Mike TV, which is reference to Willy Wonka, Chocolate Factory antagonist Mike TV, which I don't really think that is what he was referring to. I highly doubt it, but if you want to say it as a reference, then yeah.
Each to their own, basically.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't exactly say it was reference. I would say it's more just him saying his name with other people watching him. So yeah. Okay, so for the cast, we've got Donatello voiced by Sam Riegel, Leatherhead voiced by F.B. Owens, which normally we would look into actors, but unfortunately, he hasn't really been in too much to really look at. He's been in One Piece and Funky Cops. That's about it, really. Leonardo voiced by Michael St. Nicholas, Michelangelo voiced by Wayne Grayson, Raphael voiced by Frank Frankton, also known as Croc Abbey, April voiced by Veronica Taylor, Baxterman voiced by Scott Williams. It doesn't say who the news reporter was voiced by, but yeah. Okay, now the next episode is called Return to New. Oh god, no, okay, I'll spread it up. But, the episode is called Return to the Underground. What do you think is going to happen in that episode?
Well, for starters, I think we're going to go back to the underground. You know.
Oh really?
Yeah, I think we might go back to the underground in this one.
Okay. Anything else?
I think we might go back to Necropolis. I think we might go back to the underground city underneath New York, because we haven't seen much of Necropolis. We don't know about the other characters, like the I don't know, the Survivor. I keep referring to him as the Survivor of the sorts. The old resident that lives in Necropolis, and of course we get to see. What about the other people that were trapped down there during the Shredder's experimentation? Like, what's happening there? Like, we're going to see them again. Maybe they've turned their little city into a little paradise, or something along those lines that I'm thinking. Because when people say the underground, I'm thinking, okay, Necropolis.
You are on the right track, I'd say. They do go down to that place, and they do see the monsters. That person, which and person you're referring to, he doesn't appear in this episode, but he does make a future appearance in season 3.
Okay then.
Okay, well, on the bright side, who do you think is going to be starting the episode? Hint, one of the turtles.
One of the turtles, okay. I think it might be Leo. I want to say Leo.
And why do you think that?
Because Leo, I don't know, I think Leo is the headstrong of the group and he wants to boldly go into the unknown. So, might be Leo. I don't know, this is just off the top of my head at this point.
So, yeah, do you have anything to say about this episode, or are you sort of done with this one?
To be honest, I think I've said what I've needed to say. I've really enjoyed this episode. Like, this was very different. Of course, every episode's different. I say that all the time, but it's a nice, different pace from it all, really. And I thought it was really cool to see Leatherhead, and I think this is one of my favourite ones for my top 10 because of Leatherhead, because we get to see him, because he's such a cool character.
You have to say that this is, I'd say, like stuff we should be saying before, it's not one of my favourite episodes, but there's a lot of elements which I do love about this episode. And, I mean, I'd say that even, like, just like how long we've been talking about this episode for about an hour now, which, you know, that's honestly quite surprising compared to, like last few episodes where it's about, we're ranging the about half an hour to 40-minute mark. And now this one, we've been talking for about an hour. I think that goes through how good this episode actually is compared to others.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like, we have a lot to talk about.
Yeah, and then next week we'll go back to a normal length.
Yeah, got people like, yeah, no, that was alright. That was a bit tame here and there. So it wasn't that interesting, and vice versa. You know, it was just, yeah. But no, I really did enjoy this episode.
I'm going to do a Leatherhead right now.
Oh god. Oh jeez. I'm going to do a Leatherhead right now. Okay.
We need to make that a meme.
You want to try and make that into a meme, huh?
Well, yeah, I mean, what? Well, you know, it happened in 2003, happened in 2012. I feel like it's definitely a mood.
Okay, alright. Yep. Right, yeah, no, yeah. Probably someone in the audience right now said, I'm gonna make that into a meme.
I can so relate, bro.
Oh gosh, someone's gonna. But it's probably already a meme out there somewhere.
If it wasn't, it
it's
is
probably
now.
well, it's probably gonna be now. Yeah.
But
I wonder. I bet someone tonight in this episode is going to be like, okay, I'm going to find that meme, or I'm going to make that meme. You know, like someone's going to do it eventually.
I feel like we should probably stop talking about this just before any sort like social media site bans us, just in case.
Oh god, yeah.
But
Oh god.
so either way, if you have enjoyed this episode, God, what's the outro again?
Oh my god. We've been doing this for how long
I
now?
keep changing every time. Bloody hell.
Oh Jesus. It's been a long week.
Oh yeah. Well, either way, that's been another episode of Talking Tales. I've been your host Teddy.
And I've been Hayden.
And we'll see you soon. Goodbye, yo. Bye.
Bye.